And now,
it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Happy trade deadline day to all those who celebrate.
It's like Hanukkah here. They've been celebrating for a week. 8 days of trade deadline if you're a Utah Jazz fan.
Kind of feels like it.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Feels like the fireworks are behind you. Now you're just kind of enjoying the rest of the process.
Have the Jazz released or cut Lonzo Ball yet officially?
I don't think so.
Well, today might be the last day we could possibly get LeVar on the air.
This is right.
So I think, Christian, we've got an assignment for you today. You've got to the end of the show. We want LeVar Ball on the horn.
Yeah.
He's currently a Jazz man.
I want to be Big Baller Ben before the end of the day.
And I want to interview LeVar Ball.
Well, you're going to be on the Big Baller unemployment line.
Who I have long said might be the best or biggest PR genius of the last, I don't know, Ben, at least 20 years.
It's he and Donald Trump.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm not even kidding.
No, he's done it. If you were able to set your kids up to be multi-millionaires based on good, albeit not great elite skills, you've probably done okay as a father, as bizarre as you might be. But he has gotten his kids exactly where he said he was going to get them, minus LiAngelo, who's now a famous rapper.
Who is a success?
Yeah, very successful. Yep.
I sent a DM.
And in all honesty, like I hear he's a very good husband, and honestly, his priorities, if you take out all the noise, is really just the betterment of his family. Which, good on him. There's a lot of people out there with worse priorities than that, certainly. But I don't know, how many years would you say LeVar was truly on the scene? Like 2 years,
18 months, 2 years, yeah.
Man, that he burned bright.
He did,
but. Honestly, the reason I say he's the biggest PR genius is because Lonzo, who the Jazz are soon to cut, has never been a good player.
Uh-huh.
Never.
Yeah.
He wasn't a good player at UCLA.
He was okay at UCLA. That was his brightest.
Go look into it. He wasn't great.
He was all right.
He got him picked second.
I do like
second
that LeVar,
to the team that he wanted to go to.
You know what LeVar is probably good at is finding the sucker. He is the guy who finds somebody he can take advantage of and then does that. And you don't have to fool 1,000 people. You have to fool one person. And he saw Magic Johnson coming from 1,000 miles away and said, that guy is going to bite this hook, line, and sinker.
You say that, but he got his other son released from China, a Chinese prison.
Yeah.
He had
with the help of Donald Trump.
He had the reality show.
He started a shoe brand.
I honestly don't think his other kid is that great, and he got him taken number
2, 3, 2. LaMelo, 3.
Yeah,
he went behind Wiseman and who was the number 1 pick that year? Anthony Edwards. I think it was 3.
And he's had some health issues. I think he lost a leg.
Yep.
I mean, the bluster is hilarious and absolutely mockable, but if you boil it right down, the man's a genius. The man is a genius.
He's gotten everyone taken care of.
Now, his second kid who decided that stealing in China was a good idea, that guy, not a genius.
Yeah.
Don't care what his album sells. Not a genius. Ben, I think I'm going to be in a foreign country next week. I don't really know. And
Florida, yeah.
You know what I'm not going to? No, it's not Florida.
It's going to feel like it.
Because we're on a boat. And
what are these people? What is this culture? This is unlike anything I've ever seen in the United States before.
But I'll tell you what I won't be doing.
Huh.
Stealing.
Yeah. Well, everyone else is stealing in Florida, so you're fine.
No.
Blend right in.
No, I'm not talking about in these United States. I'm talking about in a foreign country.
Okay.
Because the idea of being locked up abroad, in fact, I think they've made a television show about it now, is quite unappealing. Quite appealing. Ben, I will ask you the question that everybody asked you the second they walked in the door, or you walked in the door. Are the Jazz done? Ben, are they done? Are they drawing the line at cutting Lonzo Ball and trading for Jaren Jackson Jr. and then flipping Jock Landale?
There's no reason to. There's no reason to draw a line, be open for business. The Jazz are trying to accomplish one thing before the end of the season. Lose as much as possible. Very little of what you do at the trade deadline between now and then, minus, if you can unload some of these veterans you just got from Memphis and you feel like, hey, that is not somebody we want to pay next year, looking specifically at John Conchar. Now, I don't know that. Maybe the Jazz do want to have John Conchar around. He's been a rotation player in the NBA, which we should get into at some point. The fact that the Jazz starting lineup is going to be excellent next year and the bench is a wreck right now. The bench is a total mystery, and you've got to address a lot of those issues. So who sticks around, who goes, is going to be something we have to discuss. But, yeah, why would you just say, like, nah, we're closed. We're closed for business. No, I think they will remain opportunistic. And if you can get more second-round picks and you have a little bit more money you can still spend to do that, help other teams, because there are still 6 or 7 teams that are quite a bit over the not just the luxury tax, but the tax apron that would love to get under that, and the Jazz can help.
By the way, really quick, before we leave LeVar in the total rearview mirror, because I have a take on your take, certainly. You know who was picked third in that draft behind Lonzo?
Who was it?
Old Jason Tatum.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you know who loves LeVar Ball? Danny Ainge.
Big Danny.
Danny Ainge.
Yeah.
Because Danny obviously bet that the Lakers were locked in on Lonzo.
Oh, he knew they were, yeah, for sure.
Because Markelle Fultz went number 1, and famously Danny Ainge traded down to 3, knowing that Philly was going to take Fultz, and then knowing that Magic wouldn't take Tatum.
Yeah, knowing that Philly wanted a point guard, and they were going to go get Markelle Fultz. So, yeah, he had the number 1 overall pick and dropped back to get 3 to get a top 8 player in the NBA versus Markelle, who's out of the NBA, and Lonzo, who's about to be out of the NBA.
By the way, Lowry 7 in that draft, Donovan Mitchell 13.
Good draft. Just not the top 2 picks.
Frank Ntilikina 8.
Tough Knicks.
Okay.
Dennis Smith Jr. right there as well at like 9.
Yeah.
Luke
Josh
Kennard.
Jackson at 4.
Oof.
Zach Collins at 10. Malik Monk 11. Luke Kennard, who just got traded to the Lakers.
35th time.
12. I mean, it actually wasn't that great of a draft.
Malik Monk.
John Collins at 19. Jared Allen, who I love, at 22. Yeah, not great. Anywho, sorry, Ben. I distracted. On your to your point about are the Jazz done or not, they probably don't even know. You know, one cool thing about the deadline, and you realize it every year, or not cool, I guess, but stuff gets done right up until the wire. I mean, the reason that there is activity is because there's a deadline, right? Why do we shut down the government every 2 months or whatever? It's because you need a deadline to do anything. You know, it needs to be at the edge of the cliff before you have the courage to pull the trigger. So, you know, I know Giannis, it came out this morning that Giannis is going to stay in Milwaukee. I bet their phone still rings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Even though apparently Giannis has been pulled off the trade market.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I bet their phone is still ringing.
Minnesota will call them and say, okay, this is our Godfather offer. We were not willing to give you on Wednesday, but it's Thursday. We've got to win a title.
Here it is.
Here it is. This is all we can do.
Yeah. And you never know. Maybe it'll be some home run, and they're like, okay, well, we took him off the market until we didn't. I mean, that's the great, exciting part about it. And the fun part about, or dud part about the show today is we could have news coming down all show.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
Well, we'll definitely hear some trade news, and there have been a couple of minor trades this morning. Ayo Dosunmu getting traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves, which I like that move. He's a good player. But, yeah, the Jazz have been quite busy. I mean, they've been very active. They pulled off 2 trades yesterday. It's kind of being framed as one trade, and technically it kind of is. But, yeah, they pulled off a couple of trades yesterday, and obviously the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade is the biggest so far, I think.
Oh, I would say, for sure.
James Harden's a big name.
No, that's nothing.
But Jaren Jackson Jr. is probably the most notable player traded as far as a guy still in their prime. Yeah, Anthony Davis, a very big trade still.
But Geezer,
yeah. Harden, Geezer.
Yeah, for sure.
You're talking about teams making weird desperation moves.
Weird Geezer moves, which are always desperate, where you're just moving around deck chairs on the Titanic.
And the Jazz are trying to, launch their boat.
Right.
They're not trying to save it from sinking.
No.
The Jazz have sunk. Now they're getting off the ground.
Yeah, I mean, and didn't Triple J throw out a hashtag take note
He did.
on the Snap Talk?
Yeah.
Not tank note.
No, take note.
Take note.
He's leaning in. He's buying in. Which, you know what? Is that an okay place to start?
Sure.
We've talked a lot about Memphis. We've made fun of Memphis a lot for the last couple of years on the show because we talk about the NBA, and they're kind of a punching bag. There are a couple things that I want to note about Jaren Jackson Jr., which is, first of all, and we saw it here in Salt Lake City when Donovan Mitchell missed that first game and Memphis comes in and beats the Jazz in that 8-1 series just for the first game, and then the Jazz sweep them. But it was not that long ago that Jaren Jackson was viewed as like a legit number 2 on the most exciting young roster in the NBA. Like, he was not Ja Morant, but he was just behind him as far as like the most exciting player on that team. And at just 26 years old now, I would not distance myself from that kind of perception of him being that quality of player. But more importantly, I'm really curious to see how the nonsense that's been going on in Memphis, and I've talked about Team Morant, I've talked about bad ownership, we've talked about the team being relatively cheap and not being willing to really spend money, though they've drafted extremely well. You know, is all the nonsense surrounding that team, has that hurt Jaren Jackson Jr.? Meaning, is there more juice to squeeze out of this player once you put him into a very safe and purposeful environment? The Jazz, as goofy as the last 3.5 years have been, have operated with a purpose. Now, the purpose has been to lose, but I suspect they will flip that switch to win, and they will be very purposeful. You know, they will be very intentional with what these next steps are. How does Jaren respond now that he's in a spot that is a little more serious, that's a little more businesslike, as opposed to all the insanity that comes with Ja Morant and Team Morant and the weird front office that couldn't decide on Taylor Jenkins or Thomas Isolo as their head coach? That could be really good for him.
I would assume he would buy in and do his job, because I assume that about most people until they prove otherwise. Although I had an interesting thought while you were setting that up. I would argue, because we're constantly paranoid that people aren't going to like us, right? Mm-hmm. And aren't going to stay. This is Utah and Salt Lake City after all.
Yeah.
I would argue the bigger the disaster Memphis was, the better.
Jazz did just make another minor trade, though, by the way. The Jazz are acquiring Chris Boucher from the Boston Celtics, which I promise you is just a cost-cutting move. I don't think the Jazz are serious about former Oregon big man Chris Boucher. This is coming from Sham Sharania. Boston, I told you there are 6 or 7 teams that are still way over the luxury tax. Boston is one of those teams. So who are they going to call when they need to save some money? Their old friend Austin Ainge, and say, hey, man, you want to help us out? We'll help you out. And the Jazz, I would imagine, are going to get a second-round pick out of this. I haven't seen the full trade yet.
We'll fill that in.
Yeah.
The bigger the disaster Memphis was, the better. Darren Williams didn't appreciate the Jazz until he went to the Nets.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? So you go somewhere and you find out that actually Utah and Salt Lake City aren't that bad, and that the Jazz are a pretty well-run organization and they have their players' best interest at heart, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we're not talking about, oh, does he love us or not? Mm-hmm. And there are not that many examples of Jazz trading for big players that are coming from other franchises, believe it or not. Jeff Hornacek certainly had appreciation when he came here. Derek Fisher did not. But Derek Fisher was coming from the Lakers, and I don't think he really, and this was just me who I was talking to at the time, I don't think he ever treated the Jazz with an open mind.
Okay.
I don't believe that. I don't think he ever gave the opportunity a chance.
Okay.
Because that team actually won, because you think, okay, winning solves everything. Well, in the Derek Fisher situation, it did not. They went to the Western Conference Finals, and then he
bounced,
got himself out shortly thereafter. So the fact that Memphis wasn't an ideal basketball place and that happened, to come to some sanity, I think would be attractive to him. Now, I've never been to Memphis as far as the community goes. Mm-hmm. I'm slow to cast judgment because I've never lived there or been there or whatever. But I have lived here, And I do know that in most cases, people who come here with an open mind usually like it. And I don't know his personal situation. I was trying to look. I'm not sure if he's married or single or whatever. But I do know people from lots of different backgrounds that have found their way here in one way or another. And those people usually find what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Because it's a great place and full of a lot of great people. So I would guess that if it was less than ideal with the Grizzlies, that would be better for the Jazz because they're more allowed to put their best foot forward.
And important to remember, as we've talked about Jaren, his dad's an NBA player. His dad played for a decade, but throughout the 90s. And played for some good organizations, played for the Spurs.
He was good with the Spurs.
I suspect Jaren Jackson Jr. grew up recognized. Now, again, he wasn't probably, when was he born? 99? The very end of his dad's career. So it's not like he has a full understanding of what that was like to be a part of a journeyman's family, but probably was raised with some understanding of what a good program looks like and what a bad program looks like. And as good as Memphis has performed on the floor, as well as they have performed on the floor for the most part over the last half decade, behind the scenes, I just believe it's been a true disaster. So yes, I'm not doubting that Jaren's going to come here and excel. I wonder if there's way more to unlock. And not way more. I mean, he's a great player. I'm just wondering how much easier his life can get now that it's just there's no nonsense. Just the noise around him is gonna be quieted for a team that's pretty all business. The Jazz are a serious organization, and despite all this bizarre tanking that they've experienced over the last 3 years.
And they pass, which is not something you could say about his previous team. Do you know who his mom is?
I don't.
Terry Carmichael Jackson, the current executive director of the Women's National Basketball Players Association.
Yeah.
Crazy. In 2020, featured in Sports Illustrated, the unrelenting on the most powerful women in sports.
I mean, this is a serious person.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he's getting good advice from both parents.
Exactly,
I would guess,
right.
About the basketball world.
That's why I think this can be good for Jaren. This is a serious person who, by all accounts, has just been exceptional in Memphis and has really embraced the city and embraced the community and likes the people there and has never had a bad word to say about anybody or the town. But again, I saw Taylor Jenkins die inside when T. Morant popped his head into a press conference before a game to make it about him here in Salt Lake City. And I know I've told that story a lot. But if you're seeing it as a media member on the 1 or 2 times a year that Memphis comes to Salt Lake City, how often is that happening behind the scenes in Memphis? How engaged are these people? It's got to be distracting, whether you like the person or not. So I think that can be a real positive.
Yeah, I think if the Jazz do it right and are a serious organization and utilize him and do all the things that you have to do with players, I would agree. But I don't know, what happened in Memphis probably is not going to have a whole lot to do with what happens with the Jazz, I would guess.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
With Derek Fisher, what happened with the Lakers definitely had an effect on what happened with the Jazz because it was L.A. where everyone wants to go and they were just winning titles, and he was the Harrison Barnes. He was the cast-off that they weren't going to pay, so they traded him to Utah, and he was bitter about it. I don't think that's the case with Jaren Jackson.
Yeah.
His wife was ejected from a high school basketball game.
Oh, Derek Fisher,
Yesterday,
I know.
yeah.
Is that Matt Barnes' ex? Remember that story?
Matt Barnes beat up Derek Fisher because Matt Barnes found them together at a party, not anywhere.
Oh, no, he went to her house.
He drove to the house.
He drove to her house.
And beat up Derek Fisher.
Huh.
You just hear a big pounding on the door.
Oh, man.
Derek. Who is it? It's Matt Barnes.
Matt Barnes is bigger than Derek Fisher.
Quite a bit. I'm bigger than Derek
Fisher.
Fisher.
To both of them.
Yeah.
Matt Barnes is quite a bit bigger than Derek Fisher.
Yeah.
Class guy.
Matt or Derek?
Oh, I don't know about Matt, but Derek. I mean, when I hear the word class, I think Derek Fisher. Sold out the whole Union.
Yes, he did.
Pretty amazing.
Have not seen what the Jazz are still getting in this Chris Boucher deal. Again, Chris Boucher is being traded to the Utah Jazz by the Boston Celtics. $2.3 million salary, clears a roster spot for the Celtics. I would just imagine the Jazz are getting a second-round pick or something with this.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. Top 3 stories at KSLSports.com right here on Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, joined Scotty G today at RGS Exteriors. He's going to be there from noon to 3, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. Scotty G flying in from Albuquerque, hitting up RGS.
Yeah.
Let's hit the top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, BYU loses on the road yesterday at Oklahoma State. That is their 3rd straight loss and 4th out of their last 5 games.
You were talking about Utah State coming in. Is there a real argument Utah State's the best basketball team in the state?
At the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know, head-to-head or whatever, but at the moment, I think you could. Do you want to diagnose BYU's problems? I've got a theory for you.
Well, they should play defense. That would be the first start. Don't let everybody straight line drive you to the basket over and over. And if they are, Kavakata's got to make a major impact defensively, and he did not last night. But, yeah, teams are targeting – look, the truth is teams are targeting everybody on BYU right now. And you can go back and just watch the highlights if you want, but the straight line drives against Richie Saunders are pretty inexcusable. It's really inexcusable that A.J. DeMonts is getting straight line drives past him. He's more athletic and bigger than all of these players. It should not be happening at this level. So that's part of the issue. Now, A.J. is not the problem. A.J. scored, 36 points last night? You can't lose that game if you're BYU on the road. That's why you go out and get that player on the road. He's going to put you in a situation to win. But, man, it's...
Well, he is part of the problem if he's getting driven like that.
But... He's
like that?
He's winning his matchup.
Yeah,
he's not giving up more than he's scoring.
But see, that's the point. I mean, the best player or whatever sets the tone for the rest of the team.
I am with you.
And honestly, the guarding is the problem. But you can't tell me that those players aren't physically capable of playing defense. So then why aren't they?
Yeah.
And why do they get off to the slow starts? I didn't really believe necessarily these guys read their own headlines too much. I think I do. I think they're thinking, oh, it's the Cowboys on the road. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's on the road, but it's the Cowboys.
Yeah. Utes almost beat them.
I'm just gonna go out there and half arse it.
Yeah.
Maybe they listen to the Jake and Ben show too much when you guys are saying regular season doesn't matter. They take that too easily.
It doesn't. Well, I don't think BYU season's over.
Until you lose.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. But I don't think BYU season's over. They're going to be fine. They're going to beat some teams, and they're going to win some games in the Big 12 tournament and be fine.
We'll see.
But the thing is that to dig in and guard is hard. Mm-hmm. It's hard in the Big 12. It's hard against every team. And if they don't do it, then they're going to lose games. I watched forever Darren Williams in that version of the Utah Jazz, okay? They would go on the road and they lose to just these bozo teams.
Yeah.
And it was because Darren would mail it in. Mm-hmm. Now, Darren mailing it in was still 20-8.
Yeah.
But he would obviously not have that extra gear because he'd be like, oh, it's the Timberwolves. Well, we're going to smoke these guys. And then the rest of the team took the tip from Darren, played a lethargic game, and they would lose.
Yep.
I think BYU might think they've arrived a little bit. Maybe. And it's a veteran team that's been there before, so maybe they're sleepwalking through it.
Here's what's coming up. There are 9 games left in the regular season for BYU. They still have to play Houston, the number 8 team in the country, Arizona, the best team in the country, that's on the road. They play Iowa State. They host that game. They're home against Texas Tech to close the year. Those aren't all in a row, but those are 4 of your final 9 games. And then not included in that list is at Baylor, at West Virginia, at Cincinnati. If you can lose to Oklahoma State on the road, you can lose to anybody. So BYU's got to clean that up. The fear, though, does become that the Jazz the Cougars don't end up with a 3 seed. They end up with a 5 seed. And now your pathway to getting out of the first weekend is significantly more difficult. And you've shown you're vulnerable to slow starts and losing to bad teams.
Well, that line of thinking, I'm not saying necessarily yours, but that line of thinking, like down the road, like they have arrived. Even though our Radio Bozo opinion is BYU's still going to get in, we'll see what seed, but they think like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Like that?
And that's how you lose to Oklahoma State. If you're talking about the immediate, they need to get rid of that crap and dig in and win a basketball game.
Yeah.
And beating one of those teams would certainly be good for confidence, but they're going to have to guard to beat any of those teams. If they keep giving them 99 points, I don't care who it's to, they're going to lose a ton.
Yeah, you can't let opposing perimeter players score 30, and they've run into that now. So,
and by the way, Houston's going to limit you to 40, so you better figure out a way to guard them.
And has another lottery pick point guard that's going to be coming out that is going to put up points. So, yeah, no,
I've said it for a while now. They need a wake-up call. Maybe this is it.
I'm not as worried about this with AJ as I do some players, because you even heard it from Oklahoma State's head coach yesterday after the game. Apparently one of the BYU players skipped the Oklahoma State coach in the handshake line after the game, and AJ grabbed that player and said, go shake his hand. There is clearly a buy-in from AJ. I do worry about one-year players or mercenary transfers that say, I thought we were a championship contender. We're not. I'm just looking forward to my next stop, which is the NBA, which happens with a lot of one-and-done players. A lot of one-and-done guys or transfers look for their next stop, their next payday, the NBA. I'm not as worried about that with AJ, but as soon as the NBA becomes a bigger priority than what he's doing in BYU right now, and if BYU continues to play this way, naturally that will happen. Yes, this thing can not fall apart, but drop off quickly.
What's next?
Number 2, NBA trade deadline coming up in just about 2.5 hours.
Jazz have already made another move this morning. They're acquiring Chris Boucher from the Boston Celtics. I still have not seen exactly what the Jazz are getting back here. Again, I would suspect it would be a second-round draft pick. Boston has a couple. They don't have a ton to give up. But, it looks like probably a second-rounder. I'd imagine the Jazz then buy out Chris Boucher. They don't have to. They can leave him. The Jazz have an extra roster spot right now as soon as they get rid of Lonzo Ball.
Maybe they take cash money. I don't know.
Sure.
Wasn't that the deal with Atlanta?
The Jazz sold Jock Landale for money. Yeah. Now, they did it because it was basically a part of the 3-team trade that included Lonzo coming to the Jazz, because you had to bring Lonzo in, even before you could waive him, you had to clear a roster spot. So you sent him to Atlanta, and Atlanta said, fine, we could use a big center. They've had a really horrible center rotation this year without Kristaps Porzingis in the lineup, and so the Jazz said, how about a little bit of money?
Has anybody made themselves better this year?
This year, Minnesota did. Getting Ayo Dosunmu this morning. He's a good player. He's a good point guard defender, and they were a disaster at point guard.
You're not loving Luke Kennard for the Lakers?
No. They're in the weird situation in LA that they are just capped by who their most important player is. Not their best player, their most important, and their most important player is LeBron James. The same way the Cavaliers are now capped by their most important player, which is actually James Harden. It's not Donovan, even though Donovan's a better player at this point in his career. So when you've got that flawed of a player on your roster, but they're your most important player, your ceiling is capped. So it doesn't...
Define important. I'm kind of... What do you mean?
That everything culturally, every headline is based around who that player is for the rest of the season. It's all LeBron. LeBron's leaving this offseason. What are these last 28 games going to look like? What's the Lakers send-off going to feel like? How far can they go in the playoffs? It actually doesn't matter that much, but he's so heliocentric. Everything they do.
I don't know if that's true. I think it's all about Luka with the Lakers. I think LeBron has a problem with that, but I think it's all about Luka with the Lakers. Even these moves are not about LeBron.
They're not about LeBron at all.
About LeBron, I think. And if you watch the Lakers play, it's not all about LeBron.
No, it's not.
It's not. Unless Luka's off the floor, it's not about LeBron at all. So I don't know. That's why I asked define important, because I'm having a tough time connecting that. I mean, LeBron still makes headlines, sure, but I don't think Laker fans, and I certainly don't think the Laker franchise thinks it's all about LeBron. They can't get LeBron out the door fast enough.
Correct, but they can't get him out the door. And that's the problem. Yes, they want to move on from LeBron. Yes, they want to be done with those shenanigans. They don't have an ability to do it. So LeBron right now, as long as he's there for the next 30 games, making $50+ million a year, is still just such a massive setback for them. In all honesty, and I'm a big LeBron fan. He's just not worth $50 million right now. So as long as you have this $50 million anchor on your roster, he's really going to hold you back. So they can't move beyond that.
Well, but if by important you mean overpaid, I can jump on board.
That's certainly a big part of it. But yeah, just that's going to be the conversation. After this trade deadline, you're going to hear a lot of LeBron talk, because they can't really turn the page, I don't think, to Luka until LeBron's off the roster. As much as they're trying to. But yeah, what are you trading for Luke Kennard for? He's not making you a championship contender. It's just these weird ancillary moves that don't matter until you move on from LeBron.
What's next?
Number 3, big win for the Mammoth last night, 4-1. It's their final game before the Olympic break.
Most importantly, got off to a hot start, jumped out 2-0, and then kind of just kept piling on it. Ended up being up 3-0 before Detroit ended up scoring, and they got the empty netter late. But, yeah, you win those 2 games after a very disappointing close to that road trip. It was still successful from a points perspective, but not beating Carolina when you had a 2-goal lead with 2 minutes to go hurt. How were you going to bounce back from that? What type of adversity were you going to be able to overcome? And by winning these last 2 games, they haven't guaranteed themselves a spot in the playoffs, but they go into this 3-week break with pretty well. At least they're in the wild card if it were to begin today. So they've got to feel very confident. And a bad night around the NHL for the other teams chasing that wild card spot.
Do you remember a big narrative in the NBA bubble? Was, boy, you could tell which teams took the time off seriously or which players took the time off seriously. Yeah, a similar narrative after the lockout in the NBA. You can see which players, ate their meal plan or were simply hitting McDonald's.
Yep.
3 weeks off is an eternity. So I wonder what the Mammoth are going to do to sustain their current momentum. Because you say, playoffs or not or whatever, but we know it's how you're playing going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And you certainly don't want an epic collapse, which is probably what it would take to miss the playoffs. But being away from it for 3 weeks is pretty wild. So I wonder what kind of regiment the Mammoths are setting up for their players. I mean, it obviously includes time off because you want to take advantage of rest too, but what are you going to do in that 3 weeks to make sure you pick it up where you left it off?
I think traditional thought would say that this 3 weeks will benefit the veterans the most. So these older teams, and the Mammoth are not an old team; they were a young team. It would benefit these older teams that get a rest that they weren't used to in the middle of the season, so they should come back sharp. And that could certainly be the case. I mean, LeBron and the Lakers won a championship with a relatively old roster. They weren't the youngest team in the bubble, and they found a way to get through and keep it alive. On the flip side, a lot of people thought, the Jazz are going to cakewalk during the lockout-shortened season because Michael Jordan's out of the league. This is a veteran team that's been there before. They're going to know exactly how to handle this. And the Jazz couldn't handle the wear and tear on the body of that condensed schedule. Well, you come back between February 25th and April 16th, the final day of the regular season, and you are basically playing every other day. I mean, on average. I wonder if there will be an extra grind on this final push to get to the playoffs that could wear some of these veterans out. So that's something I'd be keeping an eye on.
All right, stay tuned. We'll get to more coming up next. We will talk to our friend Nick Olczyk at the top of the 11 o'clock hour. At 11:30, DeMichael Cole, who covers the Grizzlies for the Memphis Commercial Appeal, is going to be on the show. So stay tuned. More next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This week, the world is watching. We've got the big game on Sunday, the Olympic opening ceremonies. You could be watching on your brand new 75-inch smart TV. The KSL Sports Zone wants you front and center for every unforgettable moment. Enter to win at kslsports.com/contest. And for additional entries, listen all day for keywords that will be announced on each show. The more entries you have, the better chance you have to win. So today's keyword for the Jake and Ben show, listen carefully, touchdown.
Can you spell that for me?
No. Touchdown. Listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day today to hear more keywords. Christian, you are, we've got Nick Olczyk, top of the 11 o'clock hour. You are our resident young person. Who is Tate McRae?
She is a pop singer. She is from Canada, and I'm assuming that's why you're asking.
I am, because like all great things from Canada, the United States has claimed her for our own.
Oh, all right.
Yes. Is she any good? You a fan?
No, not my type of music, no.
No? Do you have a
hater,
like an old school comp?
Kind of like, she's been compared to Britney Spears, like early Britney Spears.
So she filmed an advertisement for NBC's Olympic coverage. And she talked about how she'll be going over there and hanging out with Team USA. She's excited to be there and basically said, go USA.
Okay.
Canadians' feathers are ruffled. People out there are calling her a traitor, and they're bent out of shape. Do you have any opinion?
Well, I was rooting for the Edmonton Oilers in last year's Stanley Cup playoffs.
You are a traitor.
Over the foreign country that is Florida and the Florida Panthers.
And if we could give you to Canada, we gladly would.
As long as I'm not going to Florida, pal.
But John Candy, ours.
Mine.
Dan Aykroyd,
Yeah.
ours.
Yeah. Catherine O'Hara.
Ours.
Yeah.
The now deceased drummer from Rush,
Oh, is he dead?
Neil Peart.
Neil Peart's dead?
I think so.
Okay. You can keep the rest of Rush. Rush stinks, but we will take Neil Peart because the drums are cool.
That's what I'm saying. Steve Nash, ours. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, ours.
Sure. Not in the actual Olympics.
Hockey, ours.
Hockey hours, yeah. Well, Canada can't win a Stanley Cup to save their life, so.
They did win the Four Nations, though.
Maple syrup, ours.
We've got Dylan Gunther, ours.
I'm saying anything good in Canada, we just make our own. Noticed we did not adopt Mounties. We have something cool like the FBI.
Trudeau.
Well,
Are we trying to get him with Katie?
I think we are more trying to rid ourselves of Katie.
To ditch Katy Perry.
I think that's more
We're
likely.
pawning her off.
Well,
After the great space extravaganza.
yeah, after the space thing, that was it. That was it.
We tried to leave her up there. And now we're sending her to Canada.
Now she's off to Canada. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anything good in Canada, we make our own, including Tate McRae, apparently.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. Any thoughts, Christian?
No, I agree. Yeah, go America,
All
right?
Are you excited about the Olympics, Christian?
I am. Turns out the gold medal match for hockey is going to be at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
Time to get up.
So wake up for hockey.
Get up, get
February
cranking.
22nd.
If USA's playing.
That would be ideal, yeah.
Yeah. Czechia, Germany, not as many people waking up, though we have some locals on both those teams.
Czechia?
Czechia.
Like the Czech Republic or Chechnya?
Czechia. Yes, like the Czech Republic.
Okay. I don't think it's Czechia.
100% promise you it's Czechia.
Czechia now? When did they change that?
They change it all the time, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's where Karel Milk is playing.
Czechia.
Czechia.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you grow up with it as Czechoslovakia, and then you have
It's
to
the
get
Czech
used to
Republic.
it being the Czech Republic. And now Czechia?
Now Czechia.
I like the Czech Republic better. No?
It's not up to me.
Any late trades, Ben? You're glued to it over there.
I'm still trying to figure out what the Jazz are getting back from, and I've got to send some texts to figure out what the Jazz are getting back. But I strongly suspect they're getting a second-round pick with Chris Boucher to eat his $2.5 million.
Wouldn't they have mentioned that, though?
You would think so. Could just be cash. We'll see.
Well, like you said, it could be favors. And this stuff happens all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think the Jazz are paying somebody $2 million just to do Boston a favor, but we'll see.
No, but I mean, is it any coincidence that Lowry and SVHT have the same agent?
No, of course not. Yeah, the Jazz have done this deal already for the Celtics. You know, they took on George Niang's contract last year to allow Boston to have more financial freedom. So, yeah, you make friends around the league.
All right, Nick Olchek is going to join us coming up next. We'll talk a little Mammoth hockey. We'll ask Nick what he's doing during the break. Probably going home.
Chicago?
Although
Check in?
it is quite cold in Chicago.
Yeah.
All right, stay tuned. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.